What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we get to learn and meet some of our CFE coaches. We also get to learn a little bit more about some of our CrossFit Edwardsville CrossFitters and athletes, and we also get to dive into the Glen Ed community every now and again and talk with some of the Glen Ed locally owned business owners there. So very cool to have you all with us. As you know, I'm your host, or co-host, I should say, Dallas Amston, founder of the Men of Faith and Fire movement, and I get to host a podcast of the same name. But today I get to specifically speak with the man himself, Coach Greg G. Skell. Coach G, as you'll sometimes hear us call him. He is the CFE CEO. That is so many letters, but so close together, G. But he's also gets to be part of the coaching team here at Edwardsville. So, Coach G, what's up?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good. Hardest part of my week is done. Like, physically, I feel great. Good. Mentally, I'm at ease. I'm feeling good. How the heck are you doing, man? Happy Wednesday to you.
Thank you very much. I'm doing all right. I've got the window kind of open here, so I might be a little overexposed on the camera, but that's all right. I feel pretty good, though. Midday on a Wednesday. I always like to have that moment of mindfulness midday on a Wednesday where I go, all right, how am I doing? Where am I at in my scores? Where am I at in my points for the week? So that I can then kind of move forward from there.
So how are you doing on scores today?
I am doing okay on scores. I still have to get a couple of things done, and I'm looking forward to my fasting refeed this evening. I got a ribeye steak ready to roll, so I'm actually really looking forward to that. But no, awesome, I'm doing well on my targets for the week.
That's great. And for anybody who's listening in, may not know about this already. Dallas actually has a system for gamifying and quantifying progress in different areas of life. And Dallas, you may want to elaborate on that for a second with the squad here so they know.
Sure. So basically, when you're talking to high achieving people, one of the things they do is they start to push the ball down the field, so to speak, in one area of their life. Usually it's their business, especially high achievers. But what happens is, and G, you have heard this phrase a lot, I'm sure, from prospects coming to the gym. A lot of people struggle to win that game of work-life balance. And so work-life balance becomes a struggle. And in their mind, they think, I just need to, quote, spend more time with my family and kids, or spend more time not working, or work less. When in fact, that's not actually what it is. It's about balancing the amount of energy and points that you give. So if you feel like you're losing that game of work-life balance, there's a way to gamify it. You just come up with a playbook and you start scoring, like, what are the meaningful points that allow me to hit not only my business targets, but my targets in my faith, my targets with my fitness, my targets with my family, so that I can actually not just take one part of my life down the field, but I can actually move my whole life down the field and score big wins in my life.
I love that. And I love talking about this sort of stuff with you. And if anybody wants to learn more about that, or if you're one of those guys that's struggling with the work-life balance, maybe you're a Christian, you're probably a husband, a father, you're trying to win on all these different playing fields, and you feel like you're a slave to too many masters, battling on too many fronts, right?
Good way to say it.
Might be catch up with Dallas. He has some really great stuff that can help you to dial that in and actually win on these different playing fields.
Awesome. Thanks, G. Yeah. The best way to get in touch with me, everybody, is actually at my Facebook page, and just friend request me or private message me at Dallas Amston. I would be happy to have that conversation with you. And I'm honored, G, that you're letting me take some of the precious CrossFit Edwardsville community real estate and hop my own way.
Thanks for all you do.
Of course, man. So today we get to have a fun conversation. It's just you and me today, and we get to discuss kind of 3 knowledge categories of people who need nutrition coaching, and maybe help you to know, if maybe one of these 3 knowledge groups includes you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and kind of whether or not you fit into one of those categories. So, G, tell us a little more.
Yeah, it turns out that, for most people, that there's 3 macro groups, I should say. There's the 3 macro groups that we see when talking to people about their healthy eating, or what we call the nutrition journey. And spoiler alert, what
And
we'll talk about
you're not
today.
talking
So
about
go ahead, Mike.
actual macros, though. You're not talking about there's the protein group, the carb group, the
Correct. I'm
yeah,
talking about just like from like bird's eye view.
yeah, kind of overview.
Three major categories. Maybe categories is a good word. And like spoiler alert, I'll go ahead and I'll give these three categories right here at the start, and then we'll talk a little bit more about each one of them, as we get into the podcast. But the first is people who already know what they need to do with their nutrition, but just need the accountability to actually do it. Or for some people, they need a tribe of like-minded people to do this journey with. So that's the
Yeah,
first category. The second category is people who really don't know what to do with their nutrition, and they need guidance, they need clarity. What are the right moves to make? And we'll talk more about what this looks like. This might be you if you're the kind of person that you've heard so many contradictory schools of thought,
yeah,
and you're like, I don't know what to believe anymore. So that's the second category. And then a third category of people that need nutrition help, people who think they know what to do with their nutrition, but they've been doing it forever and it's just not working for them and they just don't get it. They don't understand why that is. So
yeah.
those are the three categories. And to be clear, one category isn't better than another. This is not some value statement
Right.
on people. We've worked with all three categories here at CFE. We've seen people make amazing personal transformations regardless of where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But it's still really helpful to outline these categories because maybe you didn't even realize that you could be in one of these categories and really benefit from nutrition help. So
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure. For sure. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just start at the beginning with all of that and let's start first, G, with talking a little bit more about category one, the people who already know what they need to do with their nutrition, but they need to have the accountability to actually follow through and do it. So let's talk a little bit about that one.
yeah, absolutely. So our ideal client avatar, our average client here at CrossFit Evansville is typically between the ages of 25 and 45. They're married, they have kids, they're a working professional, they have a history of exercise. They come to us because they're either stuck, like they're not making progress anymore, or they're bored of doing the average gym thing, the garage gym thing, the solo gym thing. They want more out of their fitness journey. That's our average ideal client, right? The majority of them work professional jobs and the majority of them are very well educated, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and given that like so many of our clients here, they have a background with exercise. Maybe they were in a high school sport, a
Sure.
college sport. They're involved in some kind of recreational fitness thing. They've been in the fitness space. Like this is not the first time they've had a
Not your
conversation about
first rodeo,
exercise.
is it, pal?
Yeah, it's not their first time thinking on nutrition, right? Many
Right.
times they've been a part of nutrition programs in the past, so they're well educated, right? Many of them, like so many people that we work with on nutrition, they've actually been a part of our nutrition coaching program
Yeah.
in the past. Many people in this category, category one, they've been successful with our program or with other programs in the past, and they often have very impressive transformation or success stories. But what happened for them was some time period after the training wheels were removed or the accountability system was removed or the
Yeah.
accountability person wasn't there checking on them
Yep.
anymore, they relapsed back into the old habits, the lifestyle stuff, all the old lifestyle like drawbacks, the things that kind of subtly in a secret way sabotage you. They
Right.
sneak back in, they rob the good habits that you had away from you, and the next thing you know, you kind of boomeranged back to where you started.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's a
mean,
good way to say it.
a lot of
And
our clients know exactly what their hangups are. They know what mistakes they're making. They
yeah.
just need somebody to hold them accountable to actually taking action on what they know to do, or maybe they need just a system to keep them accountable. Like
Yeah.
for some people, like they know, hey, if I'm gonna be sharing my food journal with other people and they're gonna see it, or my coach is gonna see it, I already know I'm gonna be on my best behavior because I don't want
Right.
to own up to making a mistake, or I don't want to own up to that I ate that stuff at the kid's birthday party that I wasn't supposed to, or whatever, right?
Yep. Yep. There's an old saying in the apps. I'm paraphrasing, obviously here, but in the absence of accountability, environment always wins.
Sure.
And it makes me think of, I remember years ago, I had a chiropractor who had given me an adjustment, and we went through a whole couple of weeks of adjustments and him working on me. And then he said, "Hey, I want to get you in with one of my business partners who's a physical therapist." And I said, "Why do we want to do that?" And he said, "Because it was your bad muscle movement that pulled your neck and your back out of alignment the first time. And so if you don't learn how to move differently, you're going to be back here in 4 to 6 months out of alignment again, because the old muscle behaviors will pull you out of alignment." And that's what
Yes.
this makes me think of, is you can come and get an adjustment, but if you don't have someone who helps you learn to think and move those old muscle habits, quote unquote, or those old eating habits, you will fall back out of alignment and you'll have to go back in for those adjustments, and those suck.
There's just fascinating new research on the science of behavioral transformation. And like there's the old school thought process was 21 days, right? If you do
Yeah,
something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. That has now been rendered obsolete. And like the new
totally.
science says that in order to truly take a behavior or a habit or a ritual and integrate it enough into your subconscious, into your lifestyle, into like who you are, identity level,
Yeah.
is you need at least 66, 67 days of
Yep.
consistent behavioral, like consistency with your new habit in order for make it really stick. And a
Yeah.
lot of times people don't get to that 66, 67 days before they, relapse, or before they start loosening the reins enough that it starts a negative trend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I
So
not only do
sometimes
I know what you mean, I've lived it.
sometimes you just need that. You need to hit the reset button,
Yeah.
in terms of your eating patterns.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to like make it super clear, like a lot of people feel like they're a part of this category, but they're actually not. So what I mean by that is often, not always, there are definitely exceptions, but
Yeah.
often if somebody has never been part of a nutrition program and they say, "Hey, I feel like my eating is super, super healthy right now, but my body just is not changing, or
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing any performance improvement with my strength numbers in the gym," or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I say, "You know what? For a week, just send me your food journals so I can just get an idea." And it could be a minefield of just absolute crap. So
Yeah.
a lot of times folks don't realize how many blind spots they have until they actually have a legitimate professional looking at what does their day-to-day look like.
Sure.
So
And that takes a high level of awareness. I had an old business mentor who said, "What doesn't get measured gets missed." It's not that
yes,
if you don't measure it, you can't grow it. That's one element of that principle. But if you don't measure it, you're going to miss all those little, you call them little mines in the field. And that definitely true. You don't pay attention to that little grab of a snack you do as you're not thinking about it until you're like, "Oh crap, now I have to write that down." And then all of
yeah.
a sudden you're like, "Oh, I did that 5 times. Oh no."
Well, on the flip side of it too, whatever gets measured gets managed. So
Yes.
that if you make it a pattern, a habit, a ritual that I'm going to start daily food tracking, you immediately become more aware
Yeah.
of what you actually do and what your errors might be. Because
Yeah.
there's so
As
much
well as the
value,
pattern.
just the awareness of it.
Yeah, and as well as the patterns, because you and I've talked about this in the past, and I know you've even posted on the CFE community web Facebook page and stuff of like why people aren't losing weight is because they eat clean Monday through Thursday, and then Friday it's a
Yeah.
few extra slices of pizza. So you might be in a caloric deficit and a nutritionally very healthy for the first 4 or 5 days of the week, and then you blast it on Friday, Saturday, lose all that momentum. But if you're not paying attention, that's an easy thing to do. It's an easy thing to do it on a daily basis. And like, I know Dallas knows my trap doors are all between 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m.
Yep.
If I can get past those trap doors between 7 and 8:30, I'm usually clean and clear for the day. But if I'm not paying attention, it shoots and ladders, baby.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then for so many people, they don't really know where the right off switch is.
Yeah.
Like what I mean by that is so many people are big believers that, well, everything in moderation, as long as I'm keeping it clean Monday through Thursday, I should be good for Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And There are people for whom that actually works, but they're in the minority.
Yeah.
Most people, when they eat healthy for 4 days and then they nuke it for 3 days, they just like have a complete meltdown for 3 days. The offset is either like, neutral, where either they're at stagnation, no
Yeah.
progress, or it's net negative. And
Yeah.
over the months, over the years, they like, how in the hell did I gain this extra 20 pounds?
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. I definitely think all of the obesity studies in the United States show that most of us are net negative when
Yeah.
we aren't paying attention, for sure. So yeah, so that's kind of category one that we've been talking about. Again, that's people who kind of already know what to do, what they need to do, and know what they need to do for their nutrition specifically, but they need the accountability to do it. But let's go ahead, G. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about category two people, because you kind of leaned into this a few moments ago where you said people, they might think they know, but they don't actually. So category two here is people who don't know what to do with their nutrition, and they need the guidance and the clarity for making the actual right moves.
Yeah, this is another large category of people out there as well. People who have spent their lives hearing contradictory advice and who just don't know what to believe. Like, some
Mm-hmm.
people are very big believers. It's all about calories, all about that calorie deficit. At the same time, you've got people that believe so strongly not all calories are created equal.
Right.
And you've got people out there that will tell you all carbs are bad, and then some people will tell you some carbs are good. Then you
Right.
have like fats are bad, or maybe some fats are good,
Right.
or all you have to do is eat less, versus all you have to do is eat the right things, or as long as you keep things in moderation. But what the hell is moderation? Like,
Right.
where is the line with
Yeah.
moderation, and so on? And so, like this,
It goes even for, I mean, I'm thinking like you've got eat as a mesomorph, eat as an endomorph,
oh yeah,
eat by blood type, eat by,
yeah,
all of the things, high carb, high fat, I mean, low carb, high fat, whatever, all of those things are so much information that I
yes.
think it can leave a lot of people just kind of going blah, 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 in confusion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can be
Well,
like,
it's very understandable and reasonable too, because you have very well educated people on both sides of an argument. A lot of times,
sure.
you have PhDs, doctors, professors,
Yeah.
and you'll have the one social media Instagram influencer, the fitness personality that believes very strongly in a thing because it has worked for them. But then you try it for you and it doesn't work for you because they have a different body type, for
Right.
example.
Right.
This is all like any body transformation, lifestyle transformation journey is always like extremely multifactorial. There's so many complex variables at play because you may have a different metabolism than the
Yeah.
person that did that thing over there, right?
Yep.
We have found through our like years and years and years and years of working people through nutrition things, some people legitimately are more sensitive to carbs.
Yeah.
Like, you give them this much carb, they get this much weight out of it.
Yeah.
You give them the same amount of dietary fat and they slim down. It's
Right.
amazing. So people, different levels of sensitivity to carbohydrates, different levels of sensitivity to dietary fats, right? So, a lot of people, they are aware, I don't know what it takes to transform my body because I have fumbled around and I've tried a bunch of things and none of it really worked
Yeah.
for me. It didn't give me the energy I wanted, didn't give me the physical abilities I wanted.
Yep.
My arms still jiggle and I can't figure out why that is because I feel like I'm eating healthy all the time. Like, that's people in category two, people that
Yeah.
they realize, you know what? I don't know anything. I've
Right.
tried. I hear so many things that I don't even know what's true anymore. And again, like,
Yeah.
this is not a value statement. That if you feel that way, your concerns are very legitimate because
Right.
you have heard contradictory advice probably your whole life. Probably
Yeah.
your whole life.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say this about both category one, and category two and category three. I mean, we're going to get to them in just a minute here, but any one of these categories can cause you to feel defeated in your
Yes.
nutrition journey. It can cause frustration. It can cause a lot of questions about personal value. And so you think to yourself, well, I should know more, or I should do better, or God, I've tried so many times. And it
Yes.
can really wreak havoc on your mental state if you don't actually have the coaching to help you tweak the game for you.
Right. For you. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like, and if you are feeling frustrated, your feelings are not wrong.
Right.
Like, you have a very good reason to feel that way. And you shouldn't feel as though I don't want anybody to walk away from this feeling like they're less than or inferior or they're for whatever. The takeaway here shouldn't be that there's something broken with me, right?
Right. Right.
Chances are your frustration is founded in very good reasons.
Yep.
At the same time, the encouraging thing, the positive thing,
Yep.
the silver lining is that there are fixes for all of this, all these challenges, all the frustrations, all the difficult things that create challenges with healthy eating. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen and heard them all. We've been in this game a long time. We've seen it all. This is a winnable battle. This is a
Totally.
winnable battle. Part of winning the battle is identifying what category that you're in,
Right.
so that you can properly direct
Yeah.
where do you go from here.
Yeah, for sure. So again, category 1 here, everybody, is people who already know what they need to do with their nutrition, but they need the accountability to do it. Category 2, we've been talking about just now, is people who don't know what to do with their nutrition and they need the guidance and the clarity to actually make those right moves. And so now let's talk about category 3 here, G. Slight variation on the theme is people who think they know what to do with their nutrition, but what they're doing actually isn't producing the results. So they've made a plan and they're not seeing the results. And so there's even that, again, can have frustration issues involved. But let's talk about that group. People who think they know what to do with their nutrition, but what they're currently doing is not actually working for them.
Unfortunately, Dallas, this is a much bigger category than we would like for it to be, or would like to believe, because so many people believe that they know what healthy eating looks like. They think their diet isn't too bad.
Yeah.
But when, like I mentioned earlier, when we get their food journals, it actually becomes apparent they have no idea what they're doing. Like if for example, like your breakfast was saltine crackers because it's low calorie and I only had a couple of them.
Right.
Lunch is a Monster energy drink, and dinner is an all-in whatever I wanted to eat, like free for all.
Yeah.
Like, you restricted yourself at breakfast and lunch.
Right.
And you probably were ravenously hungry come dinner.
Right.
But you did everything wrong. I say that respectfully. You did everything wrong.
Right.
Healthy eating is not about the low calorie, highly produced crap. It's not about eating less most of the time.
Right.
And if you have never been a part of a nutrition coaching program before, you maybe have a lot of blind spots you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Like I think the hallmark of this is people when they say, I eat really healthy or I eat pretty healthy, while at the same time, their body composition is not at all heading the right direction for them.
Yeah.
Or their fitness progress is totally stagnated, or they still have low energy or inconsistent energy throughout the day. I'm tired all the time. I don't know why I'm tired all the time.
Yeah.
You got the spikes and the valleys. I eat lunch, I'm good for 30 minutes, and then I'm exhausted at 2 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm thinking of, I had a friend who, if we ever sat down to watch, a game or a football game or whatever, he had one of those big old like Sam's or Costco sized jars of mixed nuts, cashews and almonds and all of this. And in his mind, that was a quote, healthy fat. But what he would do is he would just sit there and absentmindedly eat out of the jar rather than like portioning it out for what he needed. And so there was one point I'm watching this football game with him. It's halftime. I go, dude, how many of those have you eaten? And he's like, I have no idea, but it's a healthy fat is what he said to me. And I was like,
it's not just that. It's like it is so easy to go too far with those because while like your almond, your cashew is a healthy fat, it's so potent that this much dosage.
It's such a low calorie.
This much dosage is probably enough to give you all the strength, energy, stamina that you need.
Yeah.
But then, like, how would you know if you've never been coached on that? How would you know? Like, dude, you only need this much of the dosage. This much dosage of this particular food is enough for you.
Right. I know Kelsey, if Coach Kelsey were on with us right now, she'd be like, now take 2 of those with that, that caloric density, and then have 4 cups of spinach and this and that. And that would
Right.
fill your belly more. You'd feel that more. And it'd be the same as 2 cashews, so I know she'd be bringing the caloric density element into this conversation too. But
She's great with
absolutely,
that.
yeah. That's a really intriguing thing that you're bringing up, that I think one of the biggest indicators is those inconsistent energy spikes and valleys. That's part of the struggle.
That's another hallmark of your nutrition is not serving you. If you do not have good energy, consistent energy without dramatic highs and lows.
Yeah.
Dramatic highs and lows is a definite sign that there is something wrong, potentially even to the hormone level, because food is absolutely a drug, and it absolutely affects your hormone levels.
Yeah.
And it's for so many people really eye-opening when we discuss it that way, because when you think of drugs, you think of statins,
right?
You think of all these other things. You think of warfarin and Coumadin, right? But the most common
I know that when I think of drugs, I think of warfarin and Coumadin.
Yeah, and the
You're
most
somewhat
common
smarter
drug
than me in
there
this area.
is food, and so many people
Yeah.
self-medicate themselves with food to change how they feel.
Right.
And you should never experience dramatic spikes and valleys of food. If your food is dialed in and correct, you would never experience that. So if you're out there, you're like, I'm tired all the time, or I have a meal and then 30 minutes later I crash, your nutrition is jacked up.
Right.
And you should definitely reach out to somebody to talk to them about how to get it right. Because it sucks to live tired all the time, and you shouldn't do it. We don't have time for that. None of us have time for that. Like we're working professionals, we're married, we have kids.
Yeah.
Most of us are very driven people, especially if you're part of like the Meta Faith of Fire movement. You are by default driven.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of stuff you got to do. You got to fuel those pursuits.
100%.
It's way, way easier to move all balls up the court if you've got the good energy backing it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just in general maintains your focus. And then once you dial it in, once you find the system that is working for you and you're getting coached into that system, it's as though you have to, it's getting the rocket off of the launch pad, right? It takes a lot more fuel to get the rocket off the launch pad or to get the plane off the runway than it does to keep it in the sky.
Yes.
And once it gets into orbit, it doesn't use nearly the amount of fuel. So it's almost like you have to have some mental fuel at the beginning until you trial and error, figure out what's working with you, work with your coach to figure that stuff out. And then when you do, you go, oh, well, now all we have to do is make minor course adjustments rather than get off the actual launching pad, which takes the most mental energy.
Well, it also takes humility, because sometimes people are just in a state of denial where they won't acknowledge, hey, I thought I had healthy eating figured out, but clearly none of the results of this suggest that I know what I'm doing. Like it could be a punch into the ego gut, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'll just insert into here, there is a huge difference, everyone, between humility and humiliation. What you feel with the expanding waistline, with the up and down energy, when you look in the mirror and that sense of, I hate myself, that's humiliation. That is way more detrimental to your long-term health than coming in with humility and getting to a coach and saying, I actually don't know what to do here. I need help. Humility is way more healthy than humiliation.
Yes. And this is a really important distinction because one is a helpful personality trait, and one is a hole in the bottom of your boat that you're going to have to fight forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to be super clear on this, we never, ever, ever, ever seek to embarrass or humiliate anybody in any of our programs at CFB. That is not a healthy emotion to experience whatsoever.
Right.
But developing the humility, especially I'm going to speak to the guys of the audience, because guys are often the ones that have the most difficulty, that have the most challenge with the idea of saying, hey, I have to admit, I thought I had it figured out. I didn't.
Yeah.
I need the help. I
Yeah.
need the coaching. And if that's you, we are not going to make you feel bad. We're not going to make you feel dumb. We're not going to put you down. We're not going to, out you as a fraud in some kind of way. We're going to welcome you in.
Yeah.
Please know there's not going to be judgment or humiliation involved in this process if you become a part of one of our nutrition coaching programs.
Yeah.
We'll accept you in. We already know it takes guts, it takes courage to go to a CrossFit gym and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
That's okay. Awesome. We'd love
Yeah.
to talk to you. We'll make you feel right at home.
Yeah, for sure. And I can personally attest that all of our coaches at CFE, none of them make you feel uncomfortable. Everybody is very warm and welcoming and has a genuine heart to serve and to help, which is, I know that's part of your vetting process because that's the culture you want at CFE, is you want to make sure that the team is there to serve and not to dominate people or not to make people feel that humiliation.
Right.
So it's that's a really beneficial thing. So that's kind of our three categories largely. Again, I'll say them again here for everybody. Category one, people who already know what they need to do with their nutrition, but they just need the accountability to do it. Category two here is those people who don't really know what to do with their nutrition and they need that guidance and that clarity for making the right moves. And then this third category we've been talking about is people who think they know what to do with their nutrition, but what they're doing just isn't working. And, we mentioned the energy spikes. It could also be loss of muscle. It could be, body composition changing in a way that doesn't look right. There's multiple things that can be indicators. And really, it's all about looking at how is my engine performing? If your engine is sluggish, chances are the fuel isn't right. And so G, tell us real quickly here before we go kind of into our closing. First of all, as always, thank you for sharing your knowledge bombs with us.
Thanks, sir.
But if someone is new to CrossFit Edwardsville, if they're new to CrossFit in general, and they just want to learn a little bit more about what we do, who we are, tell us how we can do that.
So the easiest thing, and I think what most people's first step is just start researching us online, doing some digging on us. Go Google CrossFit Edwardsville, read the Google reviews. Find us on Facebook if you're one of the old schoolers now that's still on Facebook. Read our Facebook reviews. Find us on Yelp. Find us on the Better Business Bureau. Read about us, and just do some homework. You go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com. We have ebooks, audiobooks. On YouTube, our podcast, and then soon on Apple Podcasts and all that too. You can find us there. So do some homework on us. See if what you see and hear resonates with you, and if it does, the first step at our website CrossFitEdwardsville.com, you can reach out to us about setting up what we call a no sweat conversation, just to talk with a coach about what you'd like to get out of this. And I'll transition into whatever program best matches what you're looking to do, potentially a first-class experience, but we'll take it from there. There's no it's not a hard and fast, it's not a concrete set its own journey. It's kind of different for each person. So set up that no sweat conversation and we'll just see where the conversation takes us.
Awesome. So everybody, again, join us at CrossFitEdwardsville.com, on social media at CrossFit Edwardsville. And that is it for this conversation. This one was a lot of fun. This is a good time, G. Thank you for today.
You got it, sir.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out too as well. We'll roll the outro graphics. But you guys have an amazing championship rest of your day.
Boom.